Located in southeastern Iowa, the Midwest Old Threshers reunion features a different brand of farm implement from the past. This year, J.I. Case is featured.
Mm-hmm.
In 2005, over 700 antique tractors were on display. In 2006, over 900 antique tractors were on display. This year, in 2008, between 1,100 and 1,200 antique tractors were on display. Some flew in from Europe as well as from Russia. We won't show all of them here, but you will see the best ones we saw.
There's one there with a cultivator on it. Morning. Yeah, it says demonstrator on that white one. Oops, sorry.
Here is another display that also grows every year by leaps and bounds. another display I like. This toy steam engine looks like it's just a puffing for all it can to go up the hill. There is a gas engine down lower with an exhaust pipe running along the ground up through the steam engine toy. something you don't see very often, a John Deere gasoline engine ice cream maker.
Cliff Anderson. I got locked up on you, Cliff, there, and I apologize. I don't use any cards, you notice here, so I'm taking it all out of my head. Cliff Anderson is from up in the Cedar Rapids area, retired postal worker up there. He's had this pair of horses a number of years and been down here with his wagon and gives a lot of rides and has a lot of fun. He's assisted by one of Dan's daughters. This is Jamie. I'll get it. Anyways, this is a pair of Perchins that family uses around everywhere, and they're pulling a bloke wagon that is part of the old Threshers collection here. Next up, we have Terry Moore and his wife, and I don't know who else, but anyways, these folks are from up the Big Skinny used to live, was around. They're driving a pair of, these are part quarter horses, look kind of like American creams, but they're part quarter horse and part Belgian, I presume. These guys haven't done a lot in the last few years. Terry's had some problems with his back and things, and he's back to going again, so they're coming back and joining us again. Here we have John Undernear. John's from Wayland, Iowa, probably assisted by some granddaughters here. Driving a pair of black horses here I don't know much about. I think the same ones you had last year, John. Yeah, the same pair he had last year, some black Perchin horses. He's pulled another wagon out of the museum, the Sent and Transfer wagon here. This would have been a freight wagon used in hauling freight around in the cities whenever back in the day. Next we have the Baker family from Milan, Illinois. They're driving a pair of Shires. This is the only pair of Shires we have here. Don't begin to name everybody, but there's Paul, hi Paul. And he's assisted by several grandsons there, see. Here we have Neil DeBazier's team of horses. My dad bought this hay loader. This is a bale loader. It's a Snowco bale loader. and they got it going, and we've been doing this in our parade here the last several years. Kind of a neat little thing to do. This is the hay rack that these fellas in our area got together and built just right at the beginning of this show for us to use. And this is Neil DeVazer's horses from Warrensburg, Missouri. Neil is in the cement business. He has Southside Ready Mix down there at Noster, Missouri. Been coming up for a number of years and helping us out here. This pair of horses, I believe he bought from Maine. So next up we have Brett Miles from Wayland, Iowa. I believe Brett shoes horses for a living, and he's driving a pair of halflingers here. I built this wagon myself just this year to bring down here. It's an international wagon gear with a 6x12 box, and I made it so it fit right in front of my trailer and I can still haul 5 horses. Next we have Terry McElhaney. He's driving a pair of half-quarter horse and part Percheron, I believe. This was the late Marion Howell Surrey, and Terry got it and was redoing it, doing a very nice job on it. They put new wheels on. He said, "We're not done yet. He said, it's going to look like new when we get done." Terry's been coming a number of years. He's a Walmart truck driver, and on the side he raises horses, and his kids show calves and lambs and goats. Sounds like they wiped up the fair down here this year, so they must do all right. This is the Davison family here, Bob and Mary, and their daughter Martha, and their granddaughter Gabby. These folks are from up at Tipton. They're pulling a road grader here. They raise Belgian horses up there. Next is Paul Bishop. Paul is from Burlington, Iowa. He works at an elderly care center there, and he's a maintenance man there. Anyways, Paul's pulling a slip scraper here, it would have been like an excavator was in the old days. He's driving a pair of Belgian horses of his there. Hey, we're glad to have you guys come and watch us today. Hope you come back tomorrow. Watch our demonstrations. We demonstrate in the mornings and in the afternoons, threshing and baling and the like. So we're sure glad you're here, and I hope you have a great time. Thank you.
Well, I think we're about ready to start the cavalcade power round for 2008 here at the Midwest Old Threshers, Mount Pleasant, Iowa. We've got a beautiful day today. A little wet yesterday. We couldn't have the parade, so this will be our first one. Got DC here on the left. He's going to take care of all the steam, the little one scales, and then the big one. So we'll turn it over to you, DC.
Thank you. This is a year of the case. Nobody's figured that one out yet. This is a half-scale case built in 1978 by Dale Moore of Tocqueville, Iowa, operated by Dale, restored by the Moore family. This next one is a 3-inch scale case built in 1965 by Gerald Crothers, owned by the Crothers family of Lenox, operated by Riker Crothers. A 6-inch scale case built in 1982. We're getting lost already. Anyway, 6-inch case built 1982 by the Warren and Dan Crothers, owned by the Crothers family, operated by Larry Weaver and Roland Crothers. This one with the rubber tires is a freelance, owned by Rob Nelson of Lockridge, Iowa, operated by Jacob Nelson. This is a half-scale model 65 horsepower case built in 2004. Owned by Gary Fleming Sr. and Gary Fleming Jr. of Plot City, Missouri, operated by Gary. senior. These little ones are freelance, 2/5 scale, built in 2006. Mike Nichols, Fort Madison, Iowa, operated by Same. This is a half-scale 16 double simple reeds built in 1982, owned by Larry Pittman of Carlinville, Illinois, operated by Ben Pittman and Joe Allen, made by Lawrence Bollmeyer. Where we get confused is we go by break cards. People don't put them in and then we get lost. So this is a 3-inch scale. Built in 1965 by Gerald Crothers, owned by the Crothers family, operated by Riker. One on the other side is a freelance 2/5 scale engine built in 2005. Darrell Carter and Ed Carter are the owners, Springfield, Missouri, operated by Ed. Here's an 1850 Huber built in 1920, owned by the Coonrod family, Cedar Rapids, operated by Alan Doran and Janet Chapman. Next one is a Case Road Roller, built in 1917, owned by the Coonrod family of Cedar Rapids, operated by Kenny Hansen and Vicki King.
Like the DC said, this is the year of the Case. J.I. Case Threshing Machine Company of Racine, Wisconsin. This year is a feature tractor. This year is a 730 Orchard tractor. It's a very rare tractor. Tractor came out of California. It's owned by the director of the tractor area, Alan and Lori Booker, of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. And Alan's let two of these kids on there with him. Austin, he's the driver, Navy's in the back. This is, like I said, the feature tractor for this year. So you'll see the cases coming through first.
The engine on the far side is an 18-horse Advanced Rumbly, built in 1923, owned by Dwayne Coonrod, Cedar Rapids, operated by Andy Hansen, and Dwayne Coonrod is not there, but
next is 47 case, the 1947 BAO, the small ones, BAC case, owned by the Booker Farms, of Hamilton, Illinois. Okay. This next one, a little larger tractor. This is an SO, it's an SC case, the Orchard steel on the sides of it. Owned by the Booker Farms, of Hamilton, Illinois, and daughter-in-law, Lori Booker, Mount Pleasant, Iowa, assisted by her daughter, Allison, driving the tail.
far side is a 20-horse Advanced Rumbly, built in 1919, owned by John Johnson of Springville, Iowa, operated by John and same.
Next up here we have a 1951 Case DV Orchard owned by Buckard Farms from Hamilton, Illinois. Karen Buckard is the operator. Hi, Karen.
Danny's wife.
This is a 1917 Wood Brothers made in Des Moines, Iowa, owned by Tooney Melcha, Cedar Rapids, operated by Clint Welch and Sarah Melcha.
This next is DO, the DC Case, the Orchard, the LP, it's a rare tractor, owned by Buckard Farms, by Hamilton, Illinois, and Paul Putoff in Kansas City, Missouri is the driver.
Next tractor coming up is a 1945 Case VAIW, owned by Buckard Farms from Hamilton, Illinois. Jeremy Buckard is the operator.
Far side's a 1917 40 horsepower case owned by Ron, Dave, and Joe Galbraith of Illinois, operated by Ron and Dave, restored by Bob Gideon.
Here's a 1952 Case VAS owned by Buckard Farms from Hamilton, Illinois. Jacob Putoff from Kansas City, Missouri is the operator.
This next BAH, the high crop BAC, owned by Buckard Farms of Hamilton, Illinois, and Albie Benedict, Carthage, Illinois, is operating. This next one here on this side is kind of a rare outfit. This is a 2-elevator corn picker, only built a year and a half. The J.I. Case Company found out it wasn't no good, so they called them all back, supposedly. This is on a DC case, going to the Buckard Farms of Hamilton, Illinois. Steve Engels is driving.
This is a Port Huron 1965, that's horsepower. Longfellow, they call it, built in 1919, owned by Rob Nelson. Richard Behrens of Lockridge, Iowa, restored by Rob Nelson. Behind it is a stationary steam that's not stationary. It's manufactured by the Ball Manufacturing, owned by Midwest Old Threshers, operated by Ed Hiller. Mr. Congeniality.
Don't have a freight card on this one. Very nice 730 case weekly special there, diesel.
This is, I believe, it's a case rear crank owned by the Midwest Old Threshers from Mount Pleasant.
Wallace tractor, we don't have a freight card on it. Fred, wasn't Wallace bought by J.I. Case or Forerunner? Wasn't Wallace a Forerunner to Case? Here we got a 1968 Case 730 on by Gary Johnson from Greenfield, Iowa.
1929 Model L case, home of Jim Sims. From Florian, Iowa, Jim's the operator.
This is an 1892 16 horsepower Minnesota Giant, owned by Mike Parker of Libertyville, Iowa, operated by John Peterson and Dean Carlson, restored by Mike.
Here's the 1955 Case 400 diesel, owned by Jane Immel from Walterboro, South Carolina. Jerry Immel, the operator.
This is a new Giant, 18 horsepower, built in 1902, owned by Wayne Kennedy of Danville, Iowa, operated by Alan Smith and Wayne Kennedy.
Here's a 1957 Case 350, owned by Buckard Farms. Danny Buckard is the operator.
We just painted that and just got it restored a week ago. This next high crop here is a 400 high crop, home to the Buckard Farm, the Hamilton, Illinois, and Larry Holmes, Cahokia, Missouri is the operator.
Up here next we've got a 1934 Case Model L, owned by Tim Pace from Muscatine, Iowa. Tim and Connie Pace are on the tractor today. How we doing, guys?
Sorry, Donna.
1937 CC case, wide front end, owned by Sonny Pace from Muscatine, Iowa, and Sonny is the operator.
This is a Case 75 horsepower, built in 1923, owned by Midwest Old Threshers. This year, there's so many cases, they had to put Jack's name on the back of it so you can find it. This is operated by Jack Siddell of Knoxville, Illinois, assisted by Andy Rowe, Mexico, Missouri.
Here's a 1949 Case DCLP, owned by Ines Rogen from Wilton, Iowa. Leon is the operator.
1935 CCKs right here in front, owned by Paul Martins from Marion, Iowa, and Paul's the operator.
Here's a 1945 Case SC, owned and operated by Lloyd Martin from Marion, Iowa.
50 horsepower case built in 1975 or 1917. Owned by Linda Van Bark and family of Pell, Iowa, operated by Brian Van Bark and Garrett Swink. Restored by the Van Bark family.
1951 SCKs, owned by Albert Martin of Marion, Iowa, and Albert's the operator on Easy Flow fertilizer spreader.
This is a 1916 40 horsepower case owned by Roland Van Bark fella, operated by Roland and Wade Smith, restored by the Van Barks.
Here's a 1958 Case 600, owned and operated by Stephen J. Martin from Springville, Iowa, pulling a Case corn planter.
I have operated these steam engines for a long time and never had that many pretty girls at one place, have you? This is a 1954 third scale 60 horsepower Rumley, owned by Jim Barton, Mount Pleasant, operated by Matthew Barton, and Ashley Eakes of Plains, Kansas, and Brittany Kepri of Appleton, Wisconsin, Sweet 16 candidates.
1963 Case 730, owned by Lloyd Martin of Marion, Iowa, and Les Brown is the operator.
This is a I think it's about a 1912 6 horsepower Russell, owned by Steve Perrineau of Farley, Iowa, operated by Bill Perrineau and Larry Cragsman, restored by Steve.
Don't have a card on this right here in front, but it's the Case Model L. They started building those in 1929, building going up through the 30s.
This next tractor is a 1949 Case VAO, which is an orchard owned and operated by Steve Zane from Thames Creek, California.
This is an 1885 6 horsepower nickel Shepherd, owned by Jeff Davis of Mount Pleasant, Iowa, operated by Lee Davis, restored by Craig Dobbins.
1959 Case 300B, owned by Gerald Morgan from Lone Tree, Iowa, and Gerald is the operator.
1886 12 horsepower case, owned by the Sater family of Mount Pleasant, operated by Brian Warson of Donaldson, Iowa, Jim Varlas of Ada, Missouri.
High crop case, the 1964 830 diesel high crop, owned by Doug Deshawn from Hopkinton, and Ronald Bomashar is the operator.
Here's a 1937 Case CC5, owned by Fred Hittner from North Collins, Iowa. Dwight Wells, the operator.
This here CC is a very rare tractor. 1938 Case CI Narrow. It's a CI Industrial Narrow Tread, owned by Fred Ettinger from North Collins, Iowa.
This is a 1910 75 horsepower case plow engine. It's got 3-foot wheels in the back. It's one of 4 left in existence, owned by Mike and Annette Foster of Jefferson, Iowa, operated by Bob Stevens and Mike Rowe, restored by Nick Foster and James Foreman.
Here's a 1944 Case SC, owned and operated by Gerald Van Sant from Tracy, Iowa.
We don't have a card on this 1220 cross motor right here in front. The motor section there cross motor.
Here's Here's a 1946 Case VAC owned and operated by Donald Dunn from Libertyville, Iowa. Pulling a 2-bottom plow.
A 1910, 110 horsepower case owned by Old Threshers, operated by Eric and Carla Douglas and Joel Cronin, restored by James Broadhead.
1937 KCC, owned by Harris Van Essen from Tracy, Iowa. Harris and Scott is the operators.
Here's a 1954 Case 500 diesel owned and operated by Dwayne Gorel from Denville, Iowa.
1925, 22 horsepower Kent Donovan, owned by Larry Nelson and Muscatine, operated by Ben Nelson and Tony Bell, restored by the Nelson family. Jeff, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's going to fall on a you-know-what one of these days, and we're all going to watch.
Here comes a good friend, old Jim Taylor, with his 1968 Case 930 Comfort King. Does a lot of plowing, goes on a lot of tractor rides. Jim Taylor from Piasta, Wisconsin. Glad to see you down. Brought in 4 of them this morning. Taylor, owned by the Midwest Old Threshers here at Mount Pleasant, Iowa, operated by Louise Magnuson in sales here and Ronnie Magnuson here on this side. Good old Illinois. 1919 Rumley All-Pro, the 3060 model, the largest one they made. Oh, but Jerry Shahan of Kirksville, Missouri. Jerry Shahan's the owner and the operator. Jerry's got a lot of these big tractors. It's Dick 1929 on the oil post of 4060. Owned by Danny Peterson, an out here in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. And Danny's the operator. Danny Peterson's got a lot of tractors, he's got cars, he's got gas engines, a little bit of everything.
1914 Jumbo, 20 horse, owned by Leroy McClure of Colchester, Illinois, operated by Bob Jacoby of Marengo and Leroy McClure of Colchester.
Here's a 1929 Massey Harris, the Wallace 2030, owned by Kenneth McElhaney from Morning Sun, Randy McElhaney, the operator.
Don't have a card on this. B. John Deere is a 2 and a road elevator on it.
The 36, I think it is.
1910 30 horsepower Huber, owned by Leroy McClure of Colchester, operated by Ron Griggs of Kilburn, Illinois, Charlie Lane of Havana, Illinois. That engine's got power steering on it.
You don't have the brake card on this one either. It's a Top Shot 20 Deluxe.
1937 25 horsepower Kitten, owned by Michelle McClure of Colchester, operated by Michelle, assisted by David Smith.
One right here in front is going to be the feature tractor down at the Western Illinois Tractors in Hamilton, Illinois next year. The 1956 Oliver Super 99, owned by Gary Spitzboggle from Wapello, Iowa, and Gary, the operator.
John Deere Model G, owned by Ken Lauber from Winfield, Iowa.
1939 Oliver 70 road crop coming up here, owned by Jane Hamill from Waterboro, South Carolina. Jane is the operator. Glad to see you come all the way from North Carolina.
Next up here we have a 1958 Farmall 350 utility diesel, owned and operated by Kenneth Paul from Brighton, Iowa.
'76 International Harvester owned by Marvin Crable from Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and Marvin is the operator.
Coming up next year, we've got a 1945 Alice Chalmers WC, owned and operated by Dean Crable from Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Well, we've got a little slack time here. I want to remind everybody that on the main stage tonight is Jason Michael Carroll on the main stage here at Old Threshers, and that's sponsored by KILJ here. Boy, it's going to be a great show tonight. We've got the track dried up. We're going to be able to have trackside seating. We're going to fill her up.
The parade at the grandstand starts at 12 noon. The parade is so long that even though that they put them in a double row, it lasts for so long that it will go until about 3 or 3:30 p.m. Right now it is only 1:30 p.m. and you can see how many are still in line waiting to get to the grandstand.